Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, Place of Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. We're in a good place right now. We got 12 wins in a row. We've conquered some adversity. We're a little drowsy, but that's okay. Stats look fine. QG. DQ. Honk. They must know that Goose Game came out recently. We've run the gamut on these runs lately. Our last run was like quite literally, if I remember correctly at least, I'm pretty sure our last run was borderline unkillable. This run, definitely killable right now. That helps out a lot, I ain't gonna lie. HP is now pretty much entirely sorted. When was the last time we had, whatever the heck this trinket is called? Blue Babies, My Best Friends, Soul... Hey Soul Sister, ain't that Mr. Mister on the radio? Etc, etc. Sorry, I didn't mean to put the band known as Train in your timeline. Little Steven is fine. We're rushing, but we're not rushing through the whole run. We're just rushing because on this floor, I don't like not knowing where we're going. Allow me to hydrate, please. The only thing cursed about today right now is yet again, I have allowed myself to grow derelict in the almond milk department. Gotta drink the protein powder with water. It's a, it's suboptimal. But you know, people are always giving themselves rewards when they do, you know, chores. They're like, well, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna get Nando's tonight unless I vacuum the house. They vacuum the house, they get Nando's. Cheeky or otherwise. I'm like the opposite. I mean, I guess I reward myself on occasion. But I'm more about punishing myself. You don't buy the almond milk? Sure, you could abstain from drinking the protein powder and just be like, oh, there's nothing I could do, dude. Can't hit my macros today. Alternatively, you can do what I do and drink this disgusting concoction to remind your caveman brain that this is what happens when you don't get the almond milk. Psychologically, I have no idea if it's an effective strategy, but it's what we're going to choose to roll with for now. I don't have any 10 out of 10 items so far. What I have is like an assortment of items that are totally decent, you know? Turdy Touch might be a little bit of an outlier, Malcolm Gladwell style in that department. Try to stay in the open here so we can actually move out of the way if things get spiced. Speaking of which, look, did you see how close we were? The rubber met the road on turn 1 there. It was like Lewis Hamilton on Silverstone. I told you, look, I've fallen out of F1 fandom slightly. Again, I've stressed it many times. 2 of the first 3 races of the Formula 1 season take place at a time where it's relatively sensible for me to watch. And then literally they have like 12 races in a row that take place at 5 in the morning. I'm not at a place in my life, not even 5, sometimes it's even a more awkward time. You know, what's the most awkward time? It's gotta be like 3 or 4. You know, at 3 a.m. you're like, well, I could stay up and watch it. Staying up until 3 a.m., you know, is not what I would like to do, but it's not that much of a challenge. But it's really, you know, it's one of the very, very few times we would have actually been better off taking the heart. So what's the most valuable thing for us here? You grab this, leave, hope the door stays open, but it didn't. It's still very good. I would love the ability to fly, but Incubus is better. But then you gotta remember, the race isn't actually gonna end until like 5 a.m. So that's, you're torpedoing yourself. You know, do you stay up or do you wake up? No, the real answer is you just, you know, follow the results the next day as opposed to actually watching it live. If you want to say you're a bigger fan of the sport, by all means. I'll tell you, I'm a fan of the Vancouver Canucks. If we move to, you know, Uppsala in Sweden, and games started being at, like, you know, 3 a.m., 5 a.m., etc., etc., Probably wouldn't watch probably any games, to be honest with you. I might, I don't know, the occasional afternoon game might actually make it into the schedule, but I wouldn't make it a priority anymore, you know? I value my own routine more highly. Okay, Holy Light is the dream scenario here. I am willing to invest in this. And none of those are that great, so, dude, pretty okay return on our investment there, all things considered. The only thing we're really lacking right now is a damage stat, but Holy Light and Incubus go quite a long way towards making this happen. So I think we've established like a pretty solid setup here. I mean, we're on the 3rd floor 4.5 minutes into the run, which is a good thing. You know, I really think, I've talked about this before. I know, oh, DAE, sports ball, haha. But, you know, the sports you end up liking, they oftentimes, you know, they exist because of inertia, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's very hard to introduce a new sport. You know, what's the last new sport? Oh, what's going on here? We got cats in trouble? Just heard some foot scratches. I guess they're not really feet, they're more like, you know, back paws, but you get the idea. You know, what's the most recent sport that's become popular? It's got, I guess it's MMA. That way, I can't really deny that. MMA is insanely popular. 20 years ago, it existed because my grandpa was buying pay-per-views of it. But the UFC has come a long way, you know? Back in like 1997, it was like, I don't know, we got like a really tough bouncer from a biker bar and he's gonna fight like an Olympian. Let's see who's the strongest. Now it's like, I mean, I'm not saying it's worse, it's quite the opposite. It's probably a little saner now. You get the idea. But apart from that, it's hard, dude. And I gotta tell you, if you introduced a lot of sports now, they probably would not do as well. And you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of baseball. Baseball strikes me as is like a European sport that has somehow become, you know, America's pastime. Why does it feel like a European sport? I don't know, man. I think it's the pinstripes, honestly. It is a lot like cricket as well, so it has that going for it. But it's like any sport where some of the people involved wear like pinstripes and then those weird tiny hats. You know the ones I'm talking about. Like the soft, small cap. Not a yarmulke. I'm talking about, you know, go look up a picture of like, search Babe Ruth with hat on. That, if his name wasn't Babe Ruth, you would be like, he's part of, you know, British nobility. That's just one man's opinion. I'm not trying to insult baseball. Oh, that was not so good. Baseball gets insulted already, and, you know, I find, who cares? It's not very mature to insult somebody else's taste in, you know, arbitrary sports they find themselves interested in. As we head down to the next floor, and hope that we don't get too much lower on HP here. You know, the kind of music people listen to, the kind of movies they like. You know, it's a very juvenile way to judge people. You know, you gotta judge people on the amount of Tetris 99 wins they have. That's where I'm at right now. It's called a meritocracy, sweetheart. Look it up. Okay, so we're gonna try to get some HP right here. I gotta tell you, I had some good anecdotes recently. Had a bit of an awkward situation. You know, the Canadian election is coming up. It's like October 21st, I think. And I had, you know, I'm keeping this apolitical despite it being a story that revolves around politics, but the actual, like, local candidate came to our door. He was canvassing. And he said, hi, my name is, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm, you know, I'm the party candidate for this party and you're riding. And I said, okay, cool, nice to meet you. And he said, are you gonna vote on the 21st? And I said, yeah. And then he said, can we count on your support? And I said, probably not. And then we just kind of had a situation where we sort of looked at each other and, you know, we acknowledged that, you know, mutually, on a human level, politics and political differences aside, that this is a funny situation. And he said, all right, well, nice to meet you. And I said, nice to meet you as well. It's a very Canadian interaction, I suppose. But wish I could have just let him know with a little sign on the door. You're wasting your time. I mean, to his credit, I don't know if this is to his credit, but he didn't try to sell me. He didn't try to argue with me. He just went, all right, have a nice day. With no resistance whatsoever, he accepted that there was no chance that this was going to happen for him. And to be honest, it would have been hard for him to... It would have been impossible for him to sell me in the first place. But still, I would have thought he'd be like, well, you know, try to challenge my opinion slightly, but... You know, I guess we live in a city with like 2 million people. You can't go around individually changing people's minds. In which case, I guess you have to ask, why is he going door to door in the first place? You know, I guess to remind people that already support him to vote for him. I don't know. I don't begrudge him. You know, it's a hard job. I don't want to go door to door. And, you know, we got like 5 major political parties in Canada. So statistically, like, you know, I mean, some of them don't get that many votes. But probably like, you know... 70% of the people that you talk to are going to be like, no, I will not be voting for you. You know, that's a tough job. It's a bit of an awkward situation. That's about it. I don't know, maybe it's not that awkward. Maybe it happens all the time. It's the first time it's ever happened to us. Nobody did that for us in the 2015 election, let me tell you that much. But, you know, this isn't the 1920s. I'm not going to vote for the candidate that just happened to knock on my door. I think we're going to stick with the D20 here, but it is a little bit of a disappointing room for us, without a doubt. Yo, the Hierophant actually redeems it ever so slightly. And we'll be leaving yet again, and I'll be hydrating yet again. I can't let this cat into the room. He always goes loco. Living la vida ruca. What a dated reference. You guys remember Livin' La Vida Loca? Don't watch my videos unless you were alive when Ricky Martin looked like he was going to become like the next Elton John, okay? But Elton John, he recently played two concerts in Vancouver. Hold on. Ruka, I'm trying to do the Elton John bit, okay? Yes, hello. Hi. Ruka. What is it? What is it, buddy? What is it, my son? Light of my life? We got an incompatibility right now, Ruka. You really want to play. I really have to work. We're in a staring contest right now. I'm not interested in the petty feline politics that drive your existence right now. Oh, this is Tomo's territory, this is my territory, this is Tomo's litter box, this is my litter box. You can't... Okay, here you go. You can be on my lap for 2 seconds until you try to jump away or bite my hand. How does that sound? Sounds good? Okay, I'm just going to use algaes right away. I mean, there's no bit for the Elton John bit, except for the fact that, you know, we live in a pretty young neighborhood. We don't see that many actual boomers. Like, I am a boomer by the standards of our neighborhood, and we're just walking around downtown. We were like, while walking fast, stations past, I'm homebound. I was like, where did all these boomers come from? And then we get a little closer to, you know, Rogers Arena. We dun 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 Benny. Goodbye, Ruka. Benny. Benny and the Jazz. By the way, I've got less than nothing against Elton John. One of the greatest singer-songwriters of the previous generation. I mean, in my generation, I mean, here's the thing. Why stand still, you know? He's transcended the original generation in which he became, you know, incredibly popular. And with my generation, there's a lot of Elton John reverence as well. Largely thanks to the Lion King soundtrack. But at the same, I mean, you want to make anybody my age feel inspired? Just start with the Trust me, I was in the theater for the substantially inferior remake of The Lion King. Even though the movie was not particularly well done, the soundtrack, it slaps. It's an unbelievable soundtrack. I mean, mostly because of it carried by the weight of the 90s original, but okay, it's a rate of fire increase. Damage still very poor. Starting to feel like we're under the gun a little bit, but always recall that the one under the gun lives forever. Seems like, I mean, there are exceptions. Our last Isaac run was just incredible, but like, seems like modern Isaac, 2019 Isaac is basically like, one of your stats is going to be messed up on every run. Wow. You're never going to have a run that's... You're never going to have a run bereft of complaints, apparently. Or very rarely. You know? Hey, our stats are good. Sorry, we added so many range upgrades into the game that you'll be stuck at 2.92 damage for the rest of your natural life. Rest of our stats are coming through in the clutch, and I'm very appreciative. Do not get me wrong. But at the same time, you know, having... That's actually pretty good right there, I'll admit, but having enough damage to, you know, maybe just be like, hey, at least our damage is higher than the starting damage you have as Isaac would be really helpful for me on like a, you know, the level of somebody that is trying to keep morale high as they're working their way through the world today. Why don't you go ahead and hook me up here? Really appreciate that one. And I'm going to blow this up as well, just see where we stand. Wouldn't mind having an arcade. Kind of got unlimited bombs as is, you know what I mean? So here's what I'm thinking. Why not blow this up? Blow it up. Tell you what, we'll give it one more because we got golden bombs. Reroll everything, see what you get. Temperance immediately. It's a pretty good start. Yera, that won't be necessary yet. But we will wait a moment here because we got something going on. And by the way, again, as far as I'm concerned, this is of our own creation. So with Yera, you know, we get all the beautiful stuff here. We could use... This is like a daily challenge performance right here. You don't see NL taking this approach very often. But here we are. Basically, the whole point of this operation right here is to maximize the possible benefits we get via the D20. I think we'll probably just take the nickel. Reroll. Got a Chaos card, which is a really nice return on our investment, to be honest. Shouldn't be taking everything here. Should continue to reroll stuff that's not very good. I remember the greed mode strats, don't get me wrong. So you hope to get a battery charge somewhere along the line here. If you can't, you can't. We could go search for another reroll, but honestly, it's not the way I choose to live my life in Isaac most of the time here. Hanged Man. We don't know this pill. We do know this pill is a speed down. I think we will take this trinket. It's slightly better. And we're out. That room was actually pretty nice for us. Damage stats still pretty woeful, but, you know, it is what it is. Why use the word awful when you can use the word woeful, you know? It just carries that much more heft to it, that much more weight. Alright. Necropolis 2, or as I call it, Necropolis as well. I'm excited, still applying. That's okay. I think we're gonna get a little weird with this one for now. We want to use the blood bank to create some, you know, D20 laden situations here. Let's see what this judgment sees fit to provide us with. Okay, that's pretty much exactly what we're looking for. Let's get a D20 charge before we get too stoked about anything that's happening here, because our damage stat is still really, really not good enough. So we have to be modestly concerned on a genuine level. And I'm being 100% serious. Like, you might look at this... Here's the thing. All I ask you for is a certain level of trust, okay? You can disagree with me, but please respect the fact that, you know, that there's two things I think you should recognize if you're watching an Isaac episode and I'm talking about Isaac, okay? One is, I got a long enough track record of not lying to you to extend the entertainment value of a video. You know, I'm not the kind of guy who's like, oh, I got 30 damage, but I don't know, anything could happen. I'm really bad at this game. I could die at any point. That's annoying. I don't like doing that. The other thing is that, you know, I got 3,500 hours in this dang game. You and I can disagree on the current state of the run, but you have to accept that at least if you believe the first tenet of what I've said is true, you know, I have the expertise to at least be able to understand what's happened so far, if that makes sense, and internalize that and spit out my analysis on how the run looks at the present moment. And right now, everything's okay on this floor, but you don't win a run on this floor. You win a run on the womb, the cathedral, and the chest. Oh, you coulda really put a damper on my existence here. It's okay. It's okay. Don't shoot. Thank you. Well, we gotta work our way back, unfortunately. I'm saving that D6 charge. Doesn't look like it's gonna be that far. So all I'm saying is, you know, this is like, you know, having, this is like having, like a D minus. Actually, let me rephrase, because that compromises the entire metaphor. This is like having a B+ in your college class heading into the final exam, but the final exam is worth 85% of your grade. That's where we're at right now, okay? So you're like, hey, you got nothing to worry about. You got a B+. Yeah, but literally, your mark on the final exam will determine your mark essentially for the entire class. It'll determine almost all your mark, at least. So if, you know, if you don't study, you can't look at it and go, I don't understand how I failed. I had a B+. You know, you look at it and you go, well, I really screwed that one up. So that's where we're at right now. We need to improve this run. I mean, we haven't done too much that I would say has left us, you know, in the lurch on this run. I think largely it's been just waiting for solid items to come about. I'll level with you. I just rerolled the Chaos card like an idiot, but I'll still level with you. The speed upgrade is not useless. I was gonna comment that our speed was a little on the low side. Don't pick this up just yet. I at least want to see what's going on in here. I think we definitely should try. And you notice, like, this floor has taken up like a third of the video so far, which should let you know that we're losing a little bit of steam. Okay, dude, an actual damage upgrade. It's finally coming to pass. Our range, sorry, our rate of fire is so good that the damage upgrade is worth that much more to begin with, which is awesome. And, you know, can't really complain. Everything's looking pretty solid there. I may even choose to go to the curse room. I know. Pretty brazen, huh? Well, brazen is one way to describe it. Not that smart might be another. Okay, let's keep it moving here. Yesterday was, dude, I love Tuesday streams. I've talked about it. I try to be frank about it. And it comes across, I think if you don't listen to what I'm saying and you want to deliberately misinterpret what I'm saying, it comes across as insulting. But I really love the opportunity to solo stream, you know? I didn't get a chance to get into it too much on the stream yesterday because we were mid-Tetris. So, like, you know, my brain it runs the risk of exploding when you try to talk about something important with nuance and then also play Tetris at a high level, hopefully, simultaneously. Like in PUBG, I can banter because, you know, my skill is not dependent on how much of my brain power I'm using. It's just low to begin with. I think we take nothing here. Straight up. Neither of these are good enough, unfortunately. But you know, when I started streaming on Twitch, literally every stream that I did was a co-op stream. And it's nice, don't get me wrong. There's benefits and weaknesses to both. The benefit to a co-op stream is that, you know, you talk half as much. You got somebody to banter with. You can have conversations when you don't know specifically like what kind of diatribe you want to go on. The downside is, you know, sometimes you just want to work alone. I'm sure everybody watching this can relate to this. You know, very few people out there get stoked when they have to do group projects. That's the way that I would... Oh, my deal with the devil chance. I mean, that's not fully the way that I would describe it, because, I mean, part of the reason you don't like to do group projects is if you do the work, other people get to take some of the credit, right? That's the main negative. And that, you know... I'll actually tell you the way that it is like a group project. And the thing that annoyed me about group projects in school the most is that, you know, I'm very task oriented. I'm the kind of guy who just wants to get the work done, you know. And I do have the philosophy that, like, you know, a lot of the time at least, perfect is the enemy of pretty good, or perfect is the enemy of good enough. And you know, you might think that I'm doing kind of like a half-solid job, if you know what I mean, without triggering the Google DeepMind language filter. But that's not the case, you know. When I applied myself in school, I got really good grades, even, you know, to this day. But whenever you end up with a group project, oftentimes there's like one person, and if this is you, please stop, who is like, they just have a weird fetish for meetings. You know, we have this project. I remember I had to take well, I didn't have to take it. I took it as an elective. Like an intro to marketing class through the commerce department at my university, and you know, very simple sort of stuff. It'll be like, invent a product and then, you know, pitch it to us. You know, it's worth 5% of your, you know, year-end grade or something like that. I must have went to dozens of hours of meetings about this product, and like, you know, well, hey, can we all maybe, let's do a competition style where everybody suggests one idea for the product, and then, okay, so we'll set a milestone for that can be done 2 weeks from now, and then we'll meet up to discuss which one would be the best, and then once everybody's okay with it, we'll proceed, and we'll start to, okay, you write the first paragraph, I'll write the second paragraph, you know, we'll make sure that all the work is divided equally. And I'm like, dude, screw this. I don't want the work to be divided equally. I want it to be done as efficiently as possible, you know? Every group project has somebody, I think, in my opinion at least, that fails to realize that all this talking, and sometimes meetings are very valuable, you know? Don't get me wrong, but, you know, you're actually, like, multiplying the amount of work required by a factor of 10. If I just did the work, it would take me, let's say, 5 hours. But because of the group project, we all do an equal amount of work. We're all working 5 hours, and the product, or the project, I should say, doesn't end up that much better at the end of it anyway. Just a colossal misuse of our very limited time on planet Earth. But anyway, so that, I don't mean all of that to apply to streaming, but there is a little bit of it. Which is to say, not to disrespect anybody, but sometimes, you know, when you're doing co-op streams, you gotta talk about the docket. You gotta make sure everybody's happy with it. Very interesting. And that's just a necessary part of the business, and it's not a bad thing, you know? You want, if you're gonna have people, you know, on your show, you want to make sure you're comfortable with what they're playing. It's not busy work for busy work's sake. But sometimes you're like, nah, I just want to play Tetris. I can just play Tetris. People like Tetris. That's fine. That's why I've really tried to work a little bit more solo content into my work environment. It's just it's fun, it's agile, it's efficient. I like it, people like it. It's not, you know, replacing collaborative content, which is still largely the focus of the Twitch channel, but I do welcome the opportunity when it presents itself. Probably not going to get one more room. Oh, we did get one more room, but just barely. Okay, so I would not describe myself as worried about this run, because Mega is so good, but I will say, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, perhaps even being ungrateful, 8 rate of fire. Oh, you're sneaky. 8 rate of fire, 4.6 damage is really, really bad for the cathedral. You know, room like this, it doesn't matter. We're gonna body the enemy. But on rooms with a lot of touchy enemies that we want to kill quickly, it's gonna present an issue. Ruka, please, my son. Wait, why are you trying to break into the office? The only reason you should want to break in is to sleep. Okay, just, there you go. You're up. Stay in the box. The box is where cats want to be between the hours of noon and 8 p.m. How does that sound? Because it sounds flippin' sweet to me. Like, this is a room where our poor damage can actually come back to bite us. It didn't, and, you know, you might think that undermines my point. I don't really care if it undermines my point, because it's made me much more likely to survive. Ah, crap. Please give us a demon heart. Okay, dude, I don't know. It might seem disingenuous, but I'm genuinely, like, very, very slightly concerned. Any damage we can do with Mega here is worth its weight in gold. Very, very nice. Okay. So now it's all about as many holy light shots as possible. Preferably getting the pencil going on him as well. Right, Rokan? He's in the box. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. He's like, you got me? You never even had your car. You're not Vin Diesel. Stop trying to act like you're Vin Diesel. Rokan. Okay. HP, please? Ah! We got enough bombs. Second secret room? Second secret room? Central Park? In Newark? It's a little Flight of the Conchords reference for you. I'm really like, okay, that's very nice and very helpful. I'm committed, brother. You not seeing me being committed here? Don't make me regret getting rid of the D20 of all things. It's good, but it's not that good. No. That will not find it. Come on. Second secret room full of... I don't know if that would have gotten it, actually. Second secret room full of red hearts, please. A second secret room full of red hearts, if you don't mind. We're not going to be using our bombs that much on the next floor regardless. Okay, well, you know, F me, I guess. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying I'm not willing to put in the work for it, I suppose. Alright, head down to the next floor. Hydrate and bless RNG in the chat for good items, please. Okay. Really, good items equals HP at this point. And anything else is welcomed, don't get me wrong. But even just getting like a PhD would have been enormous. So, we got some okay stuff, don't get me wrong. I really like... Shielded Tears against some of these enemies on this floor will help us out a lot, especially with good rate of fire and Incubus. And we did get... I don't know if the Tears upgrade actually applied, but... You know, in theory, the Tears upgrade is there. And, you know, there's only like 4 or 5 rooms, I think, on the chest that really present a considerable risk, so... I would say that the champion version of this room, you got me, is probably amongst them. So taking a hit there is not the end of the world. Just a little bit of HP would go a long way, though, let me tell you. Doesn't have to be very much. Just, hey, I'll take it. Just a little bit of HP would go a long way. We're at that real risk right now. This is bad optics. We're like a junk stock or something like that. It's like, if we lose this one, you can't see what's happening behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, you know, there's little stuff going wrong. Like, we've had a disproportionately, in my opinion, unlucky amount of red heart drops. Like, very, very, very few. But we're getting a lot of bombs and keys, so it looks like, hey, you know, your luck stat's not screwing you that bad. And then on top of that, you're like, you got a lot of HP and you got Mega. You're not wrong, but, you know, we've been dealing with this poor damage stat for like 8 floors, and the technical debt we have there, it starts to weigh on the run. We should still be totally fine. I would just love to see, like... Oh, you could give me Yum Heart, which would at least justify this room for us. Even if you just drop, like, some red hearts, that would also be fine. Yum Heart is great, thank you. Let's make sure this room isn't a dead end. Okay, since it's not a dead end, we will Mega. No, the animations, they take too long. Okay, dead end, but that's fine. We're going to pivot up. Another dead end. Let me out, please. Your animation takes too long. Okay, okay, that's fine. Actually fine. By the way, I didn't use Yum Heart, did I? No. Okay. So we should be set. And I apologize for the complaints, but, you know, we really were in sort of dire straits there temporarily. So this is it's a bit of a war of attrition, you know, going to battle here, but we've got in my opinion superior firepower. Shielded Tears are just causing us the slightest bit of trouble, but you know, every shot that we sneak in moves the needle, and beyond that, some of those shots also have Holy Light attached to them. Occasional bomb helps us out. This is not a really good time to have Shielded Tears, I've noticed, but we recovered. Things looked very slightly touchy and have now been handled. We have taken more hits than I would have expected. Had to get a little creative. Hey, modern problems require modern solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. This is like the run that we won that feels like the worst, because it feels like it should have been easier, but we still got it done. For now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps like a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For the next watch, I'll see you next time. See ya. See ya.